Hey, you're here with Scott Marsh, the Mind Body Mentor, and I'm actually on a bit of a different camera today, so if it's a bit shaky, I must apologise, but I did want to get you a lesson today, and I just couldn't be bothered to set up the big camera. So, what did I really want to talk about today? The point of this little lecture, or this little video, is talking about where you're coming from right now. So obviously it's the new year, it's the first week back to work for a lot of people, and most people are probably starting out on a New Year's resolution, or most people are starting out on a new goal that they've set themselves, which is awesome. So it's great to have that energy, it's great to have that passion, it's great to have that excitement to go and do something and change your life in a dramatic way. So big props to you, my friend. But the big thing that I've noticed from my time in the industry is that I definitely work with two different kinds of people. So obviously the first group of people that I work with are people that have been formerly fit and have just lost their way a little bit, whether it's been stress, whether it's been having kids, whether it's been work. It's just basically taken them off track a little bit. It's just basically meant they've lost their mojo or lost their way. So that's the first group that I work with. The other group of people that I work with are people that have not been in shape or not been fit for a very long time, if ever in their lives. And to be honest with you, I do not differentiate between those two people that I work with because I really enjoy working with both sides of the equation. So obviously I've been there myself too, so I know exactly how these people feel. But I think when you're setting out these big goals for yourself and when you're trying to achieve something, is that it's really hard to have confidence that you can actually do it. And I think a lot of people, especially when they start setting their goals, don't really truly believe they can do it. So the first lesson that I want to share with you today is that it doesn't matter for where you're coming from right now, it doesn't matter how much experience that you've got or what you're doing, is that the big lesson is that success leaves clues. And this is something that I've learned a lot through my own journey and from tackling all different tasks, from weight loss to triathlon to all different sorts of things. It doesn't matter where you're coming from because at some point in your life, you have achieved success at something. You've basically put your mindset towards something and achieved it. It doesn't matter if it's been a work project, it doesn't matter if it's been bringing up your kids, it doesn't matter if it's been building a home. At some point in your life, you have achieved something. So you have the ultimate power to achieve whatever you want to right now, experience or not. But for those people that have just lost their way, lost their mojo a little bit, but have been formerly fit in the past, one thing that I like to do with people just to help them get back on track a little bit is start actually looking at that journey or that success they had in the past, whatever it may have been, because it will leave clues on how best to approach their next goal. Because you can learn a lot about motivation, you can learn a lot about the attitude that you need to have, and you can learn a lot about what habits actually excite you and actually get you back into your flow again. So the way that I like to approach it for these people is actually have a look at something that you achieved in the past, something that you were successful at. And I want you just to start thinking in terms of feel, say, do, and think. Okay? Feel, say, think, do. Now, what we can do from these little things is actually start running through when you were being successful, or when you did something great in your life that you're really proud of and really wanted to achieve, is that, first of all, how did you feel? What were the feelings that were going through your head? Were you miserable or were you excited? That's the first place to start, okay? The next thing is, what sort of things were you saying? So this doesn't just mean what were you saying to other people about your new goal or this new thing you're working on, but how are you talking to yourself at the time as well? Then it comes to thinking. So what were you thinking at the time? What was going through your head that actually motivated you? Were you trying to get away from pain, so that was motivating you, so you were thinking in that sort of sense? So slightly negatively? Or were you thinking slightly positively and you were thinking that the whole world is your oyster and that you could achieve anything? And then finally, do. What were the actual habits that you actually did at the time? Think about them in depth. Were they big habits? Were they small habits? How did you build them up? How did you get that consistency? So that's a really good way for someone who's been formerly fit to really start working out what is it that's actually going to motivate them moving forwards. Because if you were successful before, you'll be able to take all of those things that you learned from previous successes and apply it to your body transformation or life transformation, whatever you're working on. But how about the population who perhaps have never been fit? Perhaps they've never been lean, perhaps they've never actually managed to apply themselves and get success in the weight loss arena, which is a huge, huge part of the population. Well, it's a little bit more difficult, right? Because you haven't really had that experience or you haven't had that feeling, so you don't really know how you need to approach this goal. So it's a little bit of a flashbang, throw everything in the pan and hope for the best, which doesn't do well when it comes to the requirement of having confidence to actually achieve your goal. So for me, when I haven't had experience in anything that I'm doing, I always work with a coach. I will always go and invest in myself to go and work with someone who has been there and done it, who can basically act as a role model and a mentor. And there's a couple of reasons why I normally do this. The first reason is that it actually speeds up the journey, because I can take someone else's experience, I can take someone else's failures that they've learnt from, and not make the same mistakes that perhaps they did on their journey. So it speeds up the whole thing. But also, modelling. It's good to have a role model. Because just in the same way that we basically went through the feel, say, think, do just now for a previous experience, perhaps if you've had success in the past, is that you can use this with a role model. The closer you get to that person, the closer you get to know them, is that you can start actually looking at what do they feel when they're trying to do something? How do they talk to themselves? How do they talk to other people? What do they do? What are their habits of success? What do they think? And you can actually start modelling these behaviours as you get closer to them and start putting them into your own life and actually realising that this is really what speeds up your results. So, my friends, it doesn't matter where you're coming from right now with your New Year goal, and it doesn't matter if you've got any previous experience, is that you can really speed up the results and actually increase your confidence just by taking a little bit deeper look at exactly either how you function, actually finding a role model or a mentor and see how they function, so you can actually mimic that same success principles that they've put into place over many years of experience, or your own experience if you're going from that side. But besides that, my friend, have a little go through it. Have a little think about the think, say, do, feel model, and let me know how you get on. That's Scott Marsh, the Mind Body Mentor, out for today, and I hope it's helped in some way.